Nathan, I bought you a present.
Oh, you got me a present. Well, cheers for that, son. Let's check it out, Miss Brenton. Oh, what is that? Is that some, what type of audio recording device is that?
Oh, Nathan, it's a microphone.
Oh, you see that? A microphone.
A podcasting microphone.
A podcasting microphone. How much did you get for it?
$75.
$70. Oh, tell me, streaming. This is going straight to the pool room. Brenton, how you going this week, man?
I'm going pretty good. Pretty pumped.
Pretty good. I'm glad you're pumped because, like, you know what? Because we record these podcast episodes, we're sitting in our wonderful room, and you know we're talking to each other, to an audience of who knows how many voluntarily listen to this podcast. But it makes me think, Brenton, you know, if we were to ever do this live, does it bring you back to the days of when we had to give speeches in school? Do you remember how nervous you used to feel doing that?
Well, yeah, like, God, my relationship with speeches is pretty good nowadays because, I mean,
you are
like,
a
yeah,
working actor, so it's kind of your profession in a way.
well, I mean, like, any speech you kind of get nervous speaking to a bunch of people, but it's funny, like, in my last year of school, I had to make a lot of speeches, like, and a lot of them were off the cuff.
Because someone had a leadership position where you had to do that.
Someone did, and I made many speeches in that final year of school, and it was a good experience in that regard because I made a lot of speeches, and
as class president, did you ever have like a speechwriter? You know, like Obama had like a speechwriter. Did you ever get just someone to say, like one of your classmates being, "Oh, you should do this in a school assembly"?
I wish there was some cases where people would be like, "Oh, this is the notice, or this is the thing that needs to be said," and just read this verbatim, and it's like, okay. And then, but you'd have to do like a beginning, like introduction to that piece of verbatim writing, and then finish it off with something as well. And a lot of that was just on the spot because, like, you'd be like, you know, school assembly, and it'd be like, all right, we're about to go, and then it's like 10 seconds before the national anthem starts, you get given like a little like scroll of paper, and it's like, make sure you put this in at some point, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ. But yeah, but you
I remember when I was in the audience when you were one of the school captains. I remember watching you sitting on stage, and I have this distinct memory of you and the other captains like talking amongst yourselves, looking as though you had a really funny thing you wanted to say. Then like one of you would shake your head, and you could see that the idea was being shut down because it would have been way too inappropriate. And then one of you kind of shuffles towards the podium, and you're like, good afternoon, school. And like, did you ever have any? Can you remember any rejected speech ideas that you had when you were a leader? Like something you wanted to do, but it never happened.
Yes, I can. I can remember the first speech. The first speech I was going to make at a senior school assembly was about. It was like I had to like do an address on like welcome back to the new year at our school.
Was it like Dumbledore's speech in like every Harry Potter movie? It's like
kind of, but I wanted to like have fun at it and like have fun with it. And I had like a full presentation slideshow of like, and it was just like a side gag of what each of the school captains had been doing like in their holidays. And like it was just ridiculous stuff. It was like, oh, this person got their license, and then like this slide came on the screen of like a car crash like that had happened, and like it was like stupid shit like that. It was like, and this person did this, and then like something would come up, and it was just like stupid jokes. And then I got shut down because it was like everyone was worried for the first one that it was going to be too like funny and inappropriate, and I was like, oh, and the person that I suggested the joke about the car crash to said that, oh, I don't like that because I'm actually a really good driver.
They would think,
but as time went on,
they're the worst.
But as time went on, it was good because people just learned not to give a shit, and then that's when the real fun began.
Yeah, I remember as the year progressed, like they just got more and more incoherent. So by the end of it, it was just like, ugh, you know why we're here? We got some announcements. Some people were doing stuff like.
I had so much fun with those assemblies. Like I'll never forget the last one. The last one we ever did was an incoherent mess because like halfway through that assembly, like you give over like the assembly to like the new captains, and we like wrecked havoc in that last assembly, which you weren't there for, unfortunately.
No,
but,
I missed it sadly.
I mean, there was so throughout the year, me and one of the other school captains, the other male school captain, we both had this tie-tying competition. Through the whole year, before each assembly, because we had to wear full school uniform, and one of the other captains would judge our ties.
You must have been boiling on the stages as well. You would have been sweating. In that. Yeah.
So literally before, 30 seconds before the national anthem would start, we'd turn to this person and say, okay, who wins today's tie-tying competition? And it'd be this person. And we'd be ah, or woohoo, and then we'd start assembly. But we built up a tally of who had won, throughout the year, who had the best tie-tying. And by the end of, the year, I won the tie-tying competition.
Oh, well done, mate.
And
congrats.
we had a special presentation in that last assembly that basically I was presented with this, really nice, tie. And the other male captain was presented with this, awful, terrible tie with, all of this, crap on it that we then had to, tie and put on in front of, the audience.
And it was so good.
It was...
and all these year 10 students are why are we here? It's I could be in the lunchtime gossiping. It's
But I enjoyed it.
That's so funny. I love that before you also mentioned national anthem, because it reminded me, because we used to sing national anthem heaps, obviously in school assemblies. And I remember I used to just by chance sit next to this one guy for years while we were in school. It was one of the Scots, so I won't say which one on the podcast, it was one of the Scots in our year level. And for years I would sit next to him and he still never learned the lyrics to the national anthem. And it was so funny. And I swear he got worse with it, because as the years went on, I would stand next to him and he'd go Australians, and he just little spits and spews. So by the end of it, it looked as though he had like Alzheimer's or something. He'd just look around confused at the auditorium, and it was great. And I'm oh buddy, how are you missing out on this? Oh, it was great. I remember the worst speech I ever gave. Funny. I had the worst speech I ever gave in high school was when I was art captain, because that was my prestigious leadership position that I had, and I had to do a speech on the art tour, because our school offered an art tour where we went to Europe and that kind of stuff. And I did it with the female captain that we had, but she was so shy at public speaking, and we did this speech. And every time she'd try talking, she'd kind of just trail off at the end of her sentence. So we had the script in front of us, and I would just literally step in and just pick it up after she'd speak. So it literally went back and forth between us. Do you remember those speeches, Brenton, in high school, where literally it'd be two people at the podium and they'd each say one sentence each and go back and forth?
Yeah, I don't really remember them because they sucked.
Who said that was a good idea? I don't know why. For years this shit was going on. Do you remember this? And they would do it so seriously. I'd always remember there'd be two students who, by the way, hated public speaking. You'd always see them in classes and they'd always be no, I don't want to do this. But some poor teacher would say, you two fuckers have to go at some podium and tell people to be kind or some shit like that. Or they'd do some story about a school camp or some philanthropic excursion. It'd be always some shit like that. And they'd always just be hi, my name is X and my name is Y, and we went on a school camp. It was a fun camp, but boy were there some stories. The first story was, and it'd just be so stale. I don't know. It's just do the first half as one and the second half as the other. It's so stupid.
All I can say is that thank God we don't do our podcast like that. You know what I mean?
But what if we started to do that, Brenton?
Welcome to this week's episode of Classic Movie Banter.
And this is the podcast where we review some old movies of 20 years. Oh, they always have that fucking tone as well. Where we review movies 20 years or older.
This week we are reviewing an Australian classic film called The Castle. We hope you enjoy it, and
we will play The Castle on the laptop that is connected via an AV cord, which we have to fiddle with for a good 3 minutes, because some people don't do tech runs before speeches at assembly.
Well, in the meantime, let's all laugh awkwardly and get into the show. Okay. But welcome to this week's episode of Classic Movie Banter. I'm Brenton, and this is
Nathan, or as I'm known in Corrigan, NATO.
And as I just so elegantly expressed, that this week we're talking about that Aussie classic, The Castle.
Oh, The Castle, dude! I'm so excited for this episode. Do you know how this episode started? Because this was not on our list, by the way.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You had some inspiration though.
I did. Well, my
suggest
mother.
the castle.
By inspiration, I say my mother, because it was Christmas. It was Christmas of 2018, and I came home to the Gold Coast at Christmas, and my mother, she was like, I've been listening to the podcast. I'm like, oh, thanks, Mum. She's like, yeah, it's mostly shit, but it sounds like you're having fun. I'm like, oh, cheers, Mum. and she's like, of all the, by the way, I'm not joking. Like, this is like verbatim what she said, and she's like, I like the films that you guys are doing, and she's like, they're pretty great, but you're missing out on a very key film. I'm like, okay, Mum, what film would you like us to do? And she's like, you got to do The Castle, and I'm like, well, we did one Australian film, Emerald City, and that didn't go too well. And she's like, no, Nath, this is the film. This is the film you got to talk about. So I'm like, fine, I'll put it on the fucking list. And yeah, and then I because when I said that, I think she thought it was going to be our next episode, but I think that was on like our Bond episode week. And so I'm like, oh, it's not. And then she literally every week since has been badgering me to do The Castle. And so finally, Brenton, we're here. just so my mother can shut up, and then she'll never have to listen to the podcast again.
Well, yeah, that sounds good. So I'm going to rip off this Band-Aid and throw it on the pile over there and get cracking into this episode. Susan, put down the rifle. That's fine. SWAT team in the corner. Thank you.
Yeah.
So The Castle. Nathan, I have a question.
Yeah.
Would you mind pitching me this film?
All right. Welcome to my Sydney studios. And welcome, Mr. Producer person. You want me? Okay. I'm here. I'm here with an idea. I'm fresh from the Melbourne suburbs, and I'm here to pitch you this movie. So, The Castle. Have you ever heard the phrase, Brento? Have you ever heard the phrase, "A man's house is his castle"?
I have heard that phrase, funnily enough.
All right, mate. Well, you're already halfway there. So, imagine if we took that concept and we didn't make a house a literal castle. What if we took some dingy outer suburb house, like proper low value house, but filled with the most heartwarming people, and we told a story about how some outer suburbia bloke called, what's his name, Daryl, I think, or something like that, where some bloke and his family are living in this house, and we follow their lives in this outer suburban house, and we watch their fight for this house, because, Brenton, there are some forces that might want to remove this valuable property away from them. And we watch them fight to the death through legal battles and funny mockumentary tropes to see why people choose to live in really dodgy parts of Australia.
Yeah, great pitch.
Nice. It's
well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about The Castle. Nathan,
I suppose we have to, don't we? It's like, no, let's just do Thelma and Louise again. Like,
this film's a bit of fun.
Brenton, you say that in the way that, like, a kid trapped in the playground for like 10 hours, like, I guess this is fun. It's like, on paper it seems fun, doesn't it? It's like, but after the 10th hour, you're like, I kind of just want to go home.
Yeah, like, it's okay. It's fun. Those moments that I chuckled and had a nice time, but I mean, like, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's no Raging Bull. I can't believe I just compared those two.
To go from Raging Bull last week to this, it's like you could not be more far apart in movies. None of our listeners can ever say we don't have variety in this show, because we have the full spectrum of cinema, don't we? It's like, yeah.
We do.
Brendan,
we do.
This is... we should give some context to this film, like, because I think especially most listeners, they might not have heard of the film called The Castle. What year was it? 97 or something like that?
97,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I was about to say, you normally say the years, so I don't have to remember it myself. But yeah, so like so it's a 20-year-old movie. It's as far as like Australian cinema goes, it is considered a landmark film. Now, I know I said that about Emerald City and that was horseshit, so I don't know how much the phrase landmark Australian cinema means to us anymore. But it is a famous film, and like this is a movie that has got so many quotes that have entered Australian pop culture. Would you say, Mr. Brenton?
I guess.
Have you heard of any of these quotes?
I've heard some of them. There was some I'd heard, and I was like, "Oh yes, yeah, yes, that's
Yes.
what that's from."
I have heard that actually. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like the film's okay. It's a bit of fun. It's not really that well made, but the performances and the humor of it kind of carries it through, and it's got some heart, and yeah, that's
and
the
that's
castle.
the castle.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a confession to say to you, Brenton. I was forced to watch this on Christmas Day for the first time.
Oh wow.
Because I was originally going to watch it this week with you for the first time. And Mum's like, no, sit your ass down. You're going to watch it right now. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And I saw this film. And I had the same reaction to it. Because I'm like, it is very, like, it's a very, like, warm film. Like, it's very, like, you know, you watch a group of your family, you know, this great family down on their luck. They're so bogan. They're beautifully bogan. Like, they got hearts of gold. And they're so, you know, down on their luck, but they love their life and all that kind of stuff. But the second time I watched it this week for this podcast, I don't know. I kind of love it in a way. It's got something enduring about it. I don't know. Like it's not. I don't think it's a well crafted film. If that makes sense. I think the screenplay is genius, and I think that's probably the best part about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the writing's quite good. Yes.
Yeah, and it's more like it's like a collection of scenes. Like there's not really a story to it. Like the story is not the important part, really.
No, I probably agree with that.
Like, were you hooked in the story?
Not really. I mean, like, it was enjoyable.
Did it feel, because for me, what it felt like was maybe like 2 TV episodes strung together, maybe? Or like it felt more like a TV pilot almost, like of a mockumentary series. It felt like very like Summer Heights High kind of thing.
Yeah, it did feel like, I will admit it did feel a bit like a TV show, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
No. I mean, like, and, you know, you're not going to see amazing cinematography with this. Like, this film was made on dirt money with, like, a really, like nothing. I got some fun facts for you, Brenton. But, like, you know, despite what that was, like, the budget, I think it delivers on what it is. Like, I don't know what this film could have done with this script that would have made it significantly better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I totally would agree with that, yeah.
What do you think of the family, mate?
Oh, like, I think, like, the characters are fun, and the jokes... The characters are in service of the jokes, and they're pretty funny as well. And yeah, I mean, like they have like everyone has a good dynamic together, I think.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of the family? Have you met Australians like this before? Like,
for sure, yeah, definitely.
I don't think this is like all of Australians. I don't think you can base us all off that. But like, sadly I have no cousins in Australia, but I've been to like my friends' cousins' places, like for like weekend trips and that kind of stuff, and like. I have met, like, the fathers of these movies, like, 100%. Like, these blokes who just, like, they are so domesticated. Like, they put everything into their patios, and they've got, you know, their collection of prized items, and, you know, they are so proud of their children, even though their children may do very mundane daily things, but... You know, they've got such pride in their lifestyle, and you go, this is probably this film is the personification of the phrase "you do you."
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's so good. It's comedy. It's a comedy for starters. We probably should say that. And I think were you laughing heaps in this film?
I was chuckling. There's like I chuckled at a lot of moments.
I think there are some great jokes in this. Like there's not that much to spoil as well, so like it's probably the jokes that you spoil more than the actual story itself.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. There's I thought the set design was amazing for what it was. Like I wonder if this house that they filmed in probably does exist. I think it does exist somewhere. Because they live in this house next to this airport in Melbourne, and so, you know, the planes are landing overhead and that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's very innocent comedy, you know what I mean? Like, in this house.
Yeah.
And just everything they own is just so shit, and I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like they have power lines right above the house, and then they have like this pool table that's like on an angle, and you see a shot of him like shoot the ball, and it goes down to the hole. And they have a picture frame with like matches along the border, like really shitty objects, but they're just so proud of it.
Yeah.
I was also gonna say, you know how sometimes I'll mention the clothing or the hair of characters in movies that we watch.
Yes. I do remember that.
What are your thoughts on the clothing and the hair of the characters in this film, Brenton?
It's interesting to say the least, but again, like I know people that, you know. wear and style their hair, I guess. Like this, like
this because it's the mother and the father, and it's the two sons in the house, and their daughter comes home to visit with Eric Banner, and then there's another son who's probably not a spoiler, but the other son's in prison, and and just all of them, especially the two sons, have the most horrendous haircuts you have ever seen in cinema. Like you thought Boogie Nights Don Cheadle was bad. Fuck him. like this two sons' haircuts are the worst. Like, what even is it?
I completely forgot about Don Cheadle in Boogie Nights until you reminded me.
It's so bad.
Oh man,
it's so terrible.
It's so perfect.
Oh, but the two sons, like, I don't even know what that haircut is. I think they told the hair designer on that set, just say, literally do the shittiest haircut you can conjure, because it's got like his hair like parts like in the center, and it's like these loose strands of string that go a full 360 degrees, and it's kind of like a mullet at the back. Like it's so bad, and these they chose what's refreshing almost about this is that all these actors aren't like young, hot Australian models who have like promising long film careers and that kind of stuff. You know, like your Nicole Kidmans and your Isla Fishers, all that kind of stuff. They pick real, like they look as though they just pluck these people off the street, and they're the most real people you could imagine, especially because of how shitty their sweaters are. Like the mother's sweaters, she just as every scene progresses, there's this running gag where she just looks shittier and shittier, and it's so bad. And because they got the worst haircuts, they got the worst sweaters, and you love them for it because they're so happy with their lives. You just want to give them hugs, but then their housing is just so. It's just bare bones. I love the chairs that they sit on in the dining room, and it's like these.
Yes.
Oh.
And just them sitting around the table, like eating dinner, is just such like a funny image, like in itself. Like, it's great. Yeah.
It's just. Criticisms? I feel like the film is very slow. As much as I love it, it is quite slow.
Really? Like no, I thought it was fine. Like I get that. Like I get that there's no real urgency to the plot, but it wasn't necessarily slow. It was just, it just padded along and, it was kind of enjoyable. I wouldn't call it like, it's not like super slow, I'd say. No.
Oh, okay. It's not Last Temptation kind of slow, but like.
Oh, no. No.
I think maybe on my second watch, maybe because I knew all the famous quotes, and that kind of stuff, like the pool room and Dream and all that kind of stuff, and like so I was kind of waiting for the quotes. So when you watch it the second time, you're kind of just like waiting for those highlight reels, like
for sure. Yeah.
What was some of your favorite lines from the movie, Brenton?
Oh, I kind of want to get into the spoilers section then, if we're going to talk about. Yeah. So maybe we'll do that. Are you ready to rate this film?
Yeah, for sure, 100%, man. I'm happy to dive into spoilers once we rate it.
Cool, man. You go first.
You know what? What's really interesting? I looked at our stats the other day, Brenton. We have been saying yes to a lot of films recently. I think it's something like the past like 8 or 9 episodes. We've consistently, both of us, just said yes to every movie. It's been even like mixed. We haven't had in a very, very long time.
No, we haven't.
This is tricky for me to rate because like classic criteria, like Thursday night Netflix movie, The Castle comes on. Like, I tell you what, it's better than Emerald City, isn't it? It's like marginally better.
I would agree. No, it's much better than Emerald City. It's way better than Emerald City. I would much rather watch this than watch Emerald fucking City.
Dude, I'd rather watch like grass grow than Emerald City, frankly. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like who this film is for, because obviously Aussies would love it. I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find an Australian that really didn't at least respect this movie or really like chime with it. But like,
right? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I feel like this is almost this is like Australia's Napoleon Dynamite. If you want to draw good parallels.
Yeah. That's a great parallel, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if you love Napoleon Dynamite, you'll probably love this. But, like, if you're not Australian, I don't know. Like, we're both Australians, so it's hard for us to, like, get outside that box. Like, what are you feeling? What are you feeling?
Well, I'm giving this a thumbs down.
Oh, you are? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why, Brenton?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think, again, like, it's not, the film isn't, like, insulting or anything. Like, it's not terrible. It's just
like the worst breakup ever. It's like, it's not you, film, it's me. Like,
I just can't give it a thumbs up in good conscience and compare it to the great films we've been talking about the last 8 weeks. You know what I mean?
When you look at the caliber of movies we've been doing recently, it's like...
Exactly.
I know. It's like after Thelma and Bull and like, other ones like we've done, like, it's it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to compare it.
For sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so your thumbs are down. Oh, yeah. Like like for example, I watched this with my sister who's like 20, and like she fell asleep during the movie because she just wasn't having any of it. So I'm so on the fence with it. I love these characters, and I think this is something Australians should see, but like outside it, if you want to see Australian culture, I'm trying to think there's a better film. Again, we haven't seen Two Hands, we haven't seen other things that are on the list for Australian cinema. What other Australian films are there? What's like a better Australian film you'd recommend apart from The Castle? That iconic film Australia with Hugh Jackman. Have you seen Australia?
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. It's so
no,
bad.
I haven't seen it.
It's so bad.
Is it really that bad?
Oh, it's not great. It's like it's not horseshit. It's not that good. You know what I mean? And I don't know why it's called Australia still to this day.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway, Australia aside, like, is there better? Like, I feel like we're so bad with this. Like, we're Australian. We should be able to recommend Australian cinema. Like, have you seen Gallipoli? I think that's good.
Oh, I like Gallipoli. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an Australian film. I mean, it's Peter Weir, so like,
it's great. Yeah.
Picnic at Hanging Rock, I guess, is better than this.
I haven't seen it, so I can't.
Really? Have you not seen Picnic?
No.
Oh,
No.
I should add that to the list. I've seen it a couple times.
Definitely.
I also saw the miniseries that was on the ABC recently, which was quite good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a better Australian film off the top of my head, but I don't think I can, sadly, which is really embarrassing. I'm embarrassed because we talk about movies a lot. I should hopefully know something, but we're young, Brenton. We're very young men. So
Nathan, let's cut to the chase. What are you rating this film?
Fine. I'm so sorry. I'm delaying it. Okay, I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm saying if you're Australian, watch it. If you're not Australian and you love Summer Heights High but want a more bogan version of it, which I don't think was possible, then watch this. I'm gonna say yes. I'm sticking by it. I like it.
Yeah, good on you, dude. That's I can understand why. So let's talk about like some of my favorite scenes from this film, or like the only scene I really want to talk about is the first. Oh, it's actually the second scene in a courtroom.
Thank you. Go.
And it's the scene with that classic quote of "It's just the vibe of it."
Did you know that came from this movie?
It's so funny.
Did you know that came from this?
No, I'd heard that quote before, and I didn't know it was in this movie. But it's so good, dude.
It's so great.
It's such a great scene.
Don't you love that lawyer?
And then he goes up to the judge and is like, can you give me a hint of basically what I should be doing?
It's so funny.
And then he goes back and says, so in conclusion, it's the vibe. It's, what's the other thing? It's the vibe.
No. Because I wrote it down because the judge is like, because he's like, this goes against the Constitution. And the judge is like, what part of the Constitution? And he goes like, it's not just a part, it's just the vibe of the thing.
He says it like 5 times in the scene though. It's so funny.
It's so great, and he delivers it so well. And just like, and ever since I've seen that, I've been saying it so much, like, it's just the vibe of the thing, it's just like, and it's so good, because like, the judges are just not having any of it, but like, they still let him go for it. Like, this guy's choking, like,
yeah.
He's like Gil from The Simpsons. He's like, oh gosh, oh no, and he's just readjusting his tie, and his printer's just shit and everything, and you love him for it. But
he's probably my favorite character in the film because of that scene. It's too good.
Oh, he's so
great.
And
in the final courtroom scene, like how he passes notes to like.
You see him like try and pour more water, and he's like kind of holding it up to him. He's like, oh.
Oh, it's so funny. Do you want another glass of water? Or what's the last thing when he's like, he hands him the note that's like,
it's like fucking brilliant or something like that.
Yeah, it's like fucking phenomenal or something. Like, it's so funny.
Or when they give the verdict, and he's like, "Oh no, we lost." And he's like, "No, that means we won." And he's like, "Oh." I love it when the other judge is like really snooty as well, and like insults his house, and the father just like almost tries to charge at him. He's like, "Oh, watch out!" Like,
dickhead.
I love it. Did you love as well? Because you went to Canberra recently. Don't you love the most like dramatic shot of the courtroom? Like when they first rock up to the High Court, it's like the most like towering shot. I've never seen the High Court look that dramatic before.
It was pretty good.
I love that scene as well at the High Court when the father meets the other judge, and he's like, and he's like talking about their children, that kind of stuff, and he says, oh, how many degrees have you got in the family? And the guy's like, oh, my son's got a law degree. He's like, oh, 3 degrees in the family. We must have quite the pool room.
Yeah. Yes, that was a great joke.
That's a great line. And the guy's kind of like dismissing him and that kind of
perfect.
stuff. I love how sweet it is at the end though, how like the lawyer ends up coming to Bonnie Doon and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and they
Yeah.
become like great mates and
Oh my
go
God.
fishing together and stuff. And
Bonnie Doon, by the way, is that not the best? One of the best scenes, like when he's just like driving there and he's like singing the song, and the family are like, "Could you just shut the fuck up?" of like 10 seconds. And it's like the most shitty swamp area you've ever seen in your life. Like, you love him for it, but it's just got these giant power lines and just like, oh, but they're so proud of it as well. Like, oh, you just love him for it.
it's so good.
I thought it was so good, and I love when the mother is like getting like her hair done by the daughter and that kind of stuff, and they're chatting, and the daughter is like, oh, I'm not having kids till I'm at least 23, and the mother's like, oh, things have changed.
Times are changing.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like,
so good.
there's a billion iconic quotes in this film. Like, I love in the kitchen where I've done this so much. The ones I've been saying the most since I've seen this film is one where he says to his wife, oh, what do you call that? And she's like, sponge cake. And he's like, oh. And he's so impressed with the cooking. And it's the most like basic shit you've ever seen. And he's like, oh, what's that? Ice cream. Like, oh, that's beautiful. Like, yeah.
Why would you bother going to a restaurant when we've got this right here? And then she starts like measuring how to cut the sponge cake with like a huge fucking kitchen knife.
That's
and
right.
is like making a little indent on the top. It's just so ridiculous and absurd, but hilarious.
It's so good.
It's great.
Because you know people like that who just cook so much basic shit and yet they're so proud of it, and you're just like, and you love them for it. Oh, I also want to imagine what this dad would be like if he lived in the age of Gumtree. Because I feel like that family is the personification of that Gumtree, where he's just like the whole film he's just haggling between prices, and he's like, oh, tell him he's dreaming. My father, who loves Gumtree. Do your parents love Gumtree? Are they like on it all the time? Are they going through that phase?
I love Gumtree.
Oh, there you
I
go.
love Gumtree. Yeah.
Actually, we've just moved house, so you would have been like plowing through that, right?
Oh, it's great. It's
amazing.
It's incredible.
It's like for foreign listeners, it's like Australia's version of eBay, and like, or like Craigslist or whatever you call that over there. But yeah, I feel like whenever my father bids on stuff on Gumtree, whenever I come home like to see him, I always hear him like, Mum says, "Oh, how much did you get for the table?" And he'll be like, "Oh, I got this for like 500," and she's like, "Oh, tell him you're dreaming." Like, they say it quite regularly to each other.
Really? That's so funny.
They always say that. They've been saying it for years, and I've never gotten that until I watched this movie, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
That's amazing. That's so funny. Oh,
it's so good. I love when I got my degree, when I got my Bachelor of Arts in university, it reminded Mum and Dad of when the father's daughter got her certificate in hairdressing. And they were so proud. They're like, oh, this makes us more proud than if you went to Sunshine TAFE.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, it's so good. There's great jokes. I love it when they're like, when he says, oh, what's the name of that famous Aboriginal? And he's like, Kathy Freeman. And I'm like, I've answered that so many times. Like, like some of these lines just hit home so badly.
Dude, it seems like you got some. It's funny that your parents have got like a great personal connection to this film that they always quoted and whatnot. Like, that's really cool. Yeah,
maybe that's why I love this film a lot, and maybe that's why other Australians love this film, because maybe it's one of those films that you just everyone watches. You know what I mean? It's almost like your relationship to Grinch. Almost, it's like those films that like they just hit home.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But mate, Nathan, I'm very interested to know how did they make this movie? Making movies, how did they do it? Yeah.
All right. So I've got some facts for you, Mr. Brenton, about how this movie was made. And I mean, could you imagine how this movie was made? Actually, no. I'll tell you one of the best facts I've got to open this. So, this film, Brenton, took 5 weeks from when they had the idea to the final cut of the film.
Say that again.
So, from when the bloke, or it was a group of mates who made this movie, when they had the idea to make this film, so that the moment they had that idea to the final cut of this film existing, that whole period of time was 5 weeks.
That's insane.
That is insane. So what happened is that
That's
the movie was written in 2 weeks, which I feel like if growing up in maybe rural Australia, it would be quite easy to come up with this material. Like you just like, I feel like all these people are based on real life people. Like you can so get that vibe of the thing. Like they wrote they wrote it in 2 weeks. They shot it in 10 days, and then they edited it for another 2 weeks. So that's quite impressive.
That's very impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. So,
That's nuts.
And you can kind of tell because I feel like all the people who are in the film, I feel like they just cast extras who are mates and that kind of stuff. Like the other people that live on the streets and all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like it was all the reporters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It just feels like it was just a very like locally made film.
Well, did you know that actually that the shooting schedule was cut down from 20 days to 11 days because that was the only number of days the filmmakers could actually afford to feed the cast and crew?
Really? Actually?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Seriously.
That's so good. Because it was something
wow.
It was like 10. Like, what was the actual budget for this film? Do you have the actual number with you?
I don't, unfortunately, at the moment.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to look it up right now. Nathan's going to use the internet. Oh, okay. Holy shit. Okay, no, this cost $750,000 to make this film.
Wow.
And it grossed
Wow.
10 million. When it got
wow.
released.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see Aussies coming up in droves to this in the late 90s. Like, yeah, but yeah. So wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. They did all that, and by the way, they filmed it on real locations. So that house there is really next to an airport and all that kind of stuff.
It exists. Yeah.
It's
Which is insane. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of property as well. So in 2011, the Bonnie Doon property that they filmed it on went up for sale. So the actual, do you know this story?
Continue, yeah. I got something to add to this, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So the Bonnie Doon property that they go to on holiday, it was listed for sale, and the real estate agent reported to national news that so many people found out about this and called just to ask for the price of the house, so that when the real estate agent would tell them on the phone, that everyone would just say, "Oh, tell him he's dreaming," and then they'd hang up.
Oh, I love Australia.
Isn't it so good?
This is interesting too. As of 2018, the house used to film the castle was set to be demolished on more than one occasion, but something stopped both council and demolition crews, mainly due to the backlash to leave the house alone and that it should be left alone because the movie is an Aussie classic.
Really?
Oh man!
So wait,
it's
so does that
great,
mean
yeah.
this house still exists? Like, is it still there?
I'd say so. Yeah, we should go do an episode there.
Yes, let's do it. Like, could you imagine? Oh, could it be great? Because you know at the end how he has that Greek patio. Like, you finally see him finish it.
Oh my god, the Greek patio. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's just these like 2 chairs out there. Oh, he's just. I've been to so many houses with that Brenton. Like, I cannot tell you. Like. And they're so proud of it. Oh, and the little dog house as well. Like, could you imagine all of that there?
Yeah.
Oh, and the best part about it is that they install the gates that they stole. Like, could you imagine that at the front of the house? Like, imagine rocking up and seeing that. Yeah, I love it as well when the police officer he comes around and he's like, I'm not going to charge you, mate, but I can see the gates. It's like, but you should put them out around the back.
Yeah. That's. It's so good.
Oh, it's so good. Another fun fact. So, the reason their last name is Kerrigan is for the family is because the reason they chose that name is because the tow trucks they used or that they borrowed were from an existing Melbourne tow truck company of that name. Because they really wanted the name on the truck. So to save money, they just used an existing company. And the company, it still operates today.
That's so good because Kerrigan is like the perfect name for this family.
Oh,
it's Kerrigan.
It's
like,
such an Aussie name,
awesome.
isn't it? The Kerrigans, like, it's just perfect. Like, yeah, you can just see them. Like, I love that shot where they're watching Hey Hey It's Saturday or whatever, and they're all laughing and that kind of stuff. I'm like, these Kerrigans, they're the most like Aussie. They are the most Australian people you'd ever see. Like, it makes sense that in their tow trucks, like, oh, by the way, how horrendous are their tow trucks? Like, that color scheme.
It's so funny.
It's so bad. And then at the end when they expand and they have like all the different trucks, that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so great. Did you like the narration? Like I think it worked for the movie.
Yeah, I did too, actually. Like, at first I was like, oh, like, you know, is this going to be like this? But, like, it's in a joke of itself, I think, because it's, like, the narration's from the character that has, like, the least amount of development. And it's just kind of always there. Like, it's just great, yeah.
Oh, it's so great. Do you love as well how much he, like, keeps interrupting? Like, when they come back and they talk about the stories?
Yeah. like the plane flight and like what were the films that were playing on the plane, and which one played first. Oh, so great.
Dude, I lost my shit at that scene. Sorry, I'm diving back into spoilers. Sorry, but I love that scene where they pick up the daughter and her husband from the airport, and they just all walk back because they live next to the airport, and they're just pushing their trolley, and they're talking about the flight as if none of them has ever flown before, and they're like, oh, we could choose between fish or chicken, and they're like, oh, and they had air hostesses, and you could choose all the movies. And it's the most horrendous 90s films as well. They choose like Twister and was it Jumanji?
Jumanji. Yeah, so great.
Ah, it's so good.
So great.
What do you think of Eric Bana, by the way? Did you know he was in this?
Yeah, it's his film debut. Like, I mean, he's fine in the film. Like, he's, I like his kickboxing, but
Oh my god. Do you love his kickboxing cake?
Yes. Yes,
just on the
I
top.
do love his kickboxing cake. Yeah.
Eric Bana is great. Yeah, it was his first film. I think he's the only one who really broke out of this movie. Sadly, I know. Who's the main guy who plays the dad? Because I know he was on like Packed to the Rafters or something like that. Steve, something
Michael, is it Steve?
Oh, Michael
Steve?
Clayton or Clapton or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's done a lot of TV work since. Also, so Tom, I know one of the guys who wrote this movie. He was the judge on Thank God You're Here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So the main judge for that, he does he also now host Have You Been Paying Attention?
I believe so.
Yes. He helped write these classic Australian late night shows, yeah. Oh, that'd be a good thing we should open the show with one day. We should talk about those for a bit because God, there's so many of them.
For sure. So let's talk about these posters.
Yes. Let's look at this
film's poster.
I agree.
So there's two posters here, Nathan.
I did. I've mixed it up, Brenton. So for our show notes, Brenton and I normally we'll cuddle together and then we'll look at these two posters. I put two in. One because the one on the left is the actual like cinema poster, and the one on the right is the DVD poster. And so I thought we'd do a fun thing this week, Brenton, where we not only critique the posters and maybe come up with better ones on our own, but I want you to rate whether the film poster or the DVD poster is better. For our listeners who are listening this purely as an audio medium, can you please describe both posters for me, Brenton?
So poster one, the film's actual theatrical poster, is the father of the family is standing outside the home. There's a sign next to it, staked into the ground, saying "Not for sale," and there's a couple planes flying overhead and a few taking off in the background. And it says, "The castle. There's no place like this home."
Yeah.
And then the other poster is basically a family photograph at the front of the house, and that's about it. There's a drawing of a plane over the top of it.
Has a good slogan at the start. I like the slogan where it says, every Australian family's dream: a quarter-acre block, a barbie, a pool room, and an airport over the back fence. Brenton, is that every Australian's family dream?
No, thank you.
No. What's your favourite out of these two, mate?
Oh, the first one. The second one's a piece of crap. No. The first one's great, yeah.
Like all Australian DVD covers, the second one is pretty shit, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrible. It's bloody awful. Yeah. No, thank you.
And also, the DVD poster as well, like, has all the cast names on the side of it, as if they're all, like, star billing. And I'm like, oh, they're great in the movie, but I don't think that they're not name actors, to put it politely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the first poster's by far the better one.
Yeah, but do you like it overall? Are these good?
Oh, like I think the first one's the first one's great. I think the first one, like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. Like, I think that's perfect and sums up the film.
Yeah, I do like the planes about to land on him. I feel like, I don't know, I would have liked to see a little bit more of the family rather than just him. Like, I mean, obviously Eric Bana wasn't big at the time, but I feel like him kickboxing should have been on the poster at some point.
No way. I feel like that is just captures everything in the film, and it's bang on the money.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I love the font. I love like that. It's like that classic 90s like comedy kind of font. Like, yeah, it's very of its time. Like, yeah, I do. Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well done. Yeah. We'll give this poster a tick.
Title talk.
Was there a castle in Castle, Brenton? I was waiting for it, buddy.
There was a castle in Castle.
There was no moat.
Sure.
There was. Could you imagine? Just like it's like suburbia Melbourne, then suddenly there's like a fucking castle like in the center of it, and he's like, "Oh man, we've really done some renovations over the years." Like
Nathan, I mean, like seriously, there was a Greek patio. Like, come on.
Oh mate, you watch out. Yeah, I love it where where at the start of the film he's just like, "Oh, I should do some more extinctions, and then the wife is like, oh, darling, you don't need to do any more, like, all of his projects, bless him. Oh, do your parents ever do that? Do they ever like say, like when you were growing up, like, oh, we should do this to their house, and they'd always talk about it?
I mean, like, there was, I think, like, when the house was being built, and then, like, once we were in the house, there was always plans for, like, some other stuff to be done, but, like, it never happened.
Yeah, like my parents for years when we lived in Broadbeach, like said they were gonna like in our backyard, because I had quite a large backyard. They said they're gonna build like in a separate a separate building with like a media room and all that kind of stuff, and they were talking about it for years in the same way that the dad does it in this movie, and they just never got around to it. And so when that joke happened in the movie, it really hit home. So, yeah, I guess there's a castle in Castle. Or do you think there's a better title for this movie?
I do. I think it's a great title. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think there's anything else you could do to the title, like, because it really is the thesis of the film, isn't it? That, you know, that
for sure.
Yeah. Or maybe they should have it they should have pitched the movie as like a legal drama. Like, where, you know, it's like defending the Constitution or something like that.
Yeah. Defending the Constitution. Yeah. I mean, like, it's an option, but the castle it's so good.
It's good. It's iconic. Yeah. So, shall we pass it to the people, Brenton?
Power! Power to the people. Let's pass it to the people that power.
Brenton made like the most like obscene like mouth movements to his mic just then, and I just like awkwardly shuffled back. I'm like, oh, we need some distance between us, buddy.
I did do this. They are not lies. That is the truth of the matter. Rotten Tomatoes has this film, The Castle, has an 86% on the Rotten Tomato meter.
Yeah. So Brenton's thumbs down has been shoved by the general consensus of the public.
It is. And then even more surprising is that the audience score is a 92%.
And that's out of like 14,000 people who actually rated this film. So like, I guess like when I was digging for reviews, there actually weren't that many people who really like shit on this movie. I guess because like in the first couple minutes of this movie, you know exactly what this movie is. Like
precisely, yeah.
Like you're you going in, you know, you're not in for like a wow kind of movie. It's more just like it's like a nice heart-filling mockumentary that lifts you up
for sure. So Clint Morris from Movie Hole,
great
Hole,
name.
Gives it a 4 out of 5 and said
the guy's called Clint and he works for a magazine called Movie Hole. Like, sorry,
Nathan, is this one of the best films to ever come out of Australia?
I mean, we just kind of talked about it before. I mean, Happy Feet's a film that came out of Australia. Babe is a film that came out of Australia. So, Mad Max. Actually, I think
Babe.
I think Mad Max. Have you seen Mad Max?
Yeah, Fury Road.
Oh yeah, Fury Road.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, Mad Max. That's probably the best film that's come out of Australia. Probably, like
maybe.
Big Hanging Rock. I'm trying to think like the canon Australian films everyone talks about. I guess that's pretty much it. Have you ever seen any of those D-list Australian movies? You know, or was it like exploitation stuff like The Real? Have you ever seen any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think what's great out of all that, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly. Out of all the Australian films I've seen so far, I've probably loved it the most out of everything. So that's something.
Yeah, cool.
To its credit, but yeah. Jenny Jo Tucker from Real Talk Movie Reviews, she liked it. She said a unique Australian comedy that puts big budget films to shame. Like, I don't know what more money would have done to this movie, if that makes any sense.
No, I totally agree. But really puts big budget films to shame.
I don't know. Like,
really? No.
I'm trying to think of like those like Netflix films, because sadly like those like if this was made today, for example, for like maybe $30 million, and they had like A-list stars and that kind of stuff, if they remade it, for example, do you reckon this film could be remade in a 2019 setting?
No, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you know what, the best thing about it is that like nothing changes in 20 years with these kind of families. Like they will live exactly today as they would in the 90s. Like,
exactly.
Like they had the same kind of computers, same kind of phones, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine if a film like this was launched today, how well it would fare at the box office. I feel like this would go straight to Netflix or something like that, if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be probably what would happen, yeah.
And I think it would have a good life on Netflix. Like, I hope more of these kind of films are made. Like, by all means, I advocate that there should be more Australian stories like this told. I think there is I think Castle's great, but I think there's a really excellent version of this kind of story that can also be told.
I would totally agree with that, and I'd love to see it one day. Fingers crossed. Please let it happen.
I also think, you know what? I also think this would do quite well in theatre. I think this would be like a good theatrical kind of story to tell.
Yeah, sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
I can see this doing well on the stage. But yeah.
Philip H. gives this a 4.5 stars, and he says, absolute favourite. Suspect a North American audience might be missing the essence of the Aussie gags. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Philip.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like...
If there's a USA version of this movie besides Napoleon Dynamite, can you please tweet us and let us know? Because I would love to know what like your version of the castle would be.
Please let us know and let us know how much has actually been slaughtered from the film. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like it'd just be like 2 scenes and then it would just kind of end and you'd be like, what happened?
Yeah. Oh, don't you love as well when the son is in prison and he's in like the most medieval prison you can imagine? Like there's an exterior shot of it. Now that looks like a castle.
I do love that. Yes, yeah. There you go. There's the castle.
There's the castle. We finally found it. Yeah, there you go. Freddie K gave it 3 stars, so he wasn't in love with it. And Freddie said, although the movie's pace is dreadfully slow, yes, I have an ally, and the acting is sometimes pretty awful, the unique Aussie charm and awkwardness adds a certain cinematic spice to this late 90s comedy. Was the acting awful?
Oh. I mean, like, I think it's intentionally awful.
I was about to say, I feel like it matches the film. Like, it's deliberately kind of. I feel like I didn't watch anyone going, oh gosh, they could have done a better job. Like, I think it's like
exactly.
Yeah, like I even Eric Bana, I don't think is amazing in this, but you still love him and his little weird accent in this.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Ashley H.
Hi, Ash.
Says, one of the funniest dry comedies I've seen in a while. It captures the absolute boganness of Australia, while at the same time becoming a love letter to her, albeit written in crayon on the back of an old bikey magazine. Okay.
Cheers,
sure.
Ash. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think.
Sure, I'm glad you got that from it.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that. I'm trying to think of another time I've seen bogans represented like this in cinema. I guess Chris Lilly's the best person to do it. Like, this reminds me a lot of that Australian of the Year series that he did. We Can Be Heroes or something like that.
Oh, We Can Be Heroes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
This reminds me of what's the mother who like rolls? Like she sets the world record.
Yes, Pam. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Pam. Oh, she's so good.
If you haven't seen We Can Be Heroes or any of Chris Lilly's work, give it a watch. It's some great stuff.
Yeah. Watch that way over the castle. Like watch.
Yes.
Yeah. Watch We Can Be Heroes. Watch Summer Heights High. Are you a fan of his other stuff, like Angry Boys or Jamae or anything like that?
I haven't seen a lot of his other stuff, unfortunately. I've only seen those 2 series.
Okay, cool. He's filming currently right now on the Gold Coast, a new series, which is due to drop at the end of this year, and one of my mates is an extra on it, and he's told me the premise of it, and it sounds amazing. Like it's very much on the DL, so like I have to keep it under wraps. But like,
yeah. No, of course.
Have I told you about this on the podcast?
No, you haven't. So I can't wait to hear about it. But if it sounds amazing, I'm so excited for it.
It sounds like it might be his best work because it's set on the Gold Coast. So you and I will love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
can't wait.
Yeah, and then Brother Tree 1 said, one of the best movies I've ever watched. It gives me a lot of faith in humanity. Doesn't it? Like,
oh,
like how did you feel? Like, did you feel warm and fuzzy at the end when they like won the court battle and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I did. Yeah, it was a warm and fuzzy feeling. Good on you, Brother Tree 1. Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, good on you, mate. But yeah, I remember when. Did I ever tell you that time I used to work for the census?
No.
Yeah, when this is in 2016, I was like really, really poor for cash when I was at university, and I don't even remember applying for the job. I think I was you know when you apply for jobs on the internet and you do like a billion applications to the point where it all blurs together?
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to say, or maybe not, like, because you've just been consistently working at the cafe for like the past like 5 years, so you've had stability in your work, Brenton.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. Like it becomes a bit of a blur in that sense.
I remember I had to I was living in Yeronga at the time in Brisbane. Shout out to anyone who lives in Yeronga in Brisbane if you've been there. And it's on the south side of the city, and it's a nice-ish suburb. Like it's okay. Like it's not a student suburb. It's like just a normal like suburbia place in Australia. Anyway, so I worked for the census, and part of my job was to go door knocking to every house in my personal suburb and ask people who hadn't done the census yet to do the census. And like.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So that was a fun job. But like And I did that over like maybe like a month or something like that. And you would think literally going to every house in your suburb would like destroy your faith in humanity, because like you meet everyone who's like in the streets. But like genuinely, out of maybe the thousands and thousands of houses I would have, like people I would have talked to in all the houses, like 99.9 of them were the most wonderful, loving, caring people who were so polite. So I feel like when I see Bogans in the Wild Brenton, I'm just gonna think of the castle and think, you know what? Deep down, they've all got pool rooms. They've all got shittily made mugs by their wives, and they're all happy as hell.
That was a beautiful sentiment.
Thank you.
So yeah, guys, that was The Castle, released in 1997. That classic Australian film.
It's good. It is a classic. Yeah. It is a classic, man. Like,
yeah.
Even though you didn't like, because you liked it, you're just not going to recommend it. That's like what you're saying.
No, I liked it. I'm just not.
I'm just not.
Yeah,
fussed
I'm
by
not
it.
gonna. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. Like, yeah. So, like, yeah, like it's true. Like we've listened, like, especially for people who listen to our podcast regularly. Firstly, thank you if you do. But also, like, because we recommend a movie, it's like, what? But because we recommend like these classic films, I think out of like, all 37, we recommended like something like 20 something, which is a lot of movies to watch. So like, yeah. So like, out of all the things we've listed, yeah, like, we got to start culling. Like, frankly, it's like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
because I remember when we first started this, I thought we were going to be like shitting on a lot of the classics, but most of them have actually lived up to the hype.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, until the next cull, you guys will have to wait and see what's going to be the first like universal cull we have. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, the last thing we culled, literally the last film you and I both said no to was Bond, the first one we did, which was
Wow. Yeah.
You
yeah.
Only Live Twice. That was the last one you and I both said no to. So that was 23. So it's been a very long time since
That's insane.
since we both said no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But next week is Valentine's Day. We've got a Valentine's Day episode next week, so maybe our romance film will finally make us go no. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? I don't.
Let's think of some romantic films, Brenton, that we can shit on for next week.
Sounds good. Well, until next time, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. You know, we hope you like the podcast. It's just the vibe of the thing, frankly, really.